Hello, Oza. Okay, tick, tick, tick. I'm just testing before she comes on. I'm just like trying to fix a few things here. Hey, batho. Technology, batho. Uh, Welcome, everybody. I'm waiting for my guests to connect. So while I'm waiting for her, I'm just pinning this thing. So getting to know. Yeah, she has just joined. Okay. Okay. Let me sort this. Jeans, please send me a request to connect. I see you haven't sent one yet. Technology and beta, guys. Okay, let me send her. Okay. Jeans, I see you're connected. Please just send me a request to join me on the live and then I will accept it. I was trying to see if I can send it on my side. Let me see. No, I can't. Ah, there, I can invite you. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there she comes. Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday. Okay, so just sent her a request to join and she will be with us shortly. Hello, beautiful mama.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm so sorry about the technology. I'm not sure what's happened, but I see myself on two screens, so forgive the crazy
On
eyes
two,
because
oh, are you connected on two screens?
yes, I am. So I thought I'd need a bigger screen, but okay, let's carry on. It's fine. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
You look so stunning. So stunning. Show.
I made an effort. I even put on a bra for you.
Woo! I'm the lucky girl. Yeah, I am such a lucky girl. I remember when I first asked you to please join me live, I remember your response was makeup, you have got to have a face beat, so you gotta wait for lockdown to finish. And unfortunately there's no end in sight now.
Yeah, and I had to do it myself, so it's not a bad job. Hey.
No, you've done really good. You've done really good. And I think also your neck is stunning, so it makes it so much easier, right?
Oh, thank you. You are equally beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I guess let's get right into it. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for affording us the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better on the Royal Corner. Because as I've said to you, you are such a queen, and you know it's amazing how we've never met, but like we chat in our DMs, it's always so amazing. You're such a lovely person. So I thought, hey, this queen, I've got to feature her in here. So I'm really, really grateful that you agreed. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I was telling my sister the other day, she's like, "Who is the royal queen?" She thought it was my platform, actually. I was like, "It's to
Yeah.
me," and I haven't even met her, but I feel like we've known each other for a while. It's almost a year. Hey, to me, almost a year.
It might even be longer than a year because I know we met initially on Thriving Parenting. I can't remember when exactly it was, but yeah, probably just over a year or so.
Yeah, true. Sure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome stuff. I'm being told to move a little bit because apparently I wasn't showing well on the screen. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us more. I always start with the question, and I want you to feel so comfortable. I know it can be a bit like intimidating, so I do these every weekend. So I promise you, even though I've done it for quite some time, there are still moments where I'm like so nervous. But I must tell you that with our conversation today, I wasn't nervous at all. And just because of the energy that flows between us. So it really is just a conversation between us two to get to know you a little bit better. So I'll just kick off with, tell us who Jesus, like what I know about you. How would you say, because there's the way that we view you. There's the way that I would view you based on my limited interactions with you on social media. But who would you say you are?
Well, I think on a high level, I'm a soul first before anything else. I'm a soul that came into this world and took on a few roles. Mom, wife, sister, friend, daughter. But I feel like I'm someone that lives between two realms, you know. I'm a very sensitive somebody. I know I'm gangster in the streets, but I'm quite sensitive. I'm an empath, and I take on people's energy. So energy is everything to me. People are everything to me. I need and I thrive on people's energy. I'm someone that is a career student. I need to learn something new each and every day. So my conversations with my children every day when I pick them up, it's hi, how was your day, and what new thing did you learn today? And with Silo, constantly, oh mom, I learned nothing new today. But I've gotten him to a point where he needs to find something new that he's learned each day. Some of it is life altering, some of it is quite trivial, but I'm a student. I'm a student. I don't believe in mastery of anything, quite honestly. I feel like I'm one of those people that need to be good at multiple things, you know, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just exercise every muscle in my brain, in my body, in my soul. So I do soul things that actually fulfill everything about who I am. So that's who I am. I'm a chef. I'm a food lover. I wouldn't call myself a fitness fanatic, but I'm definitely somebody that likes moving. I eat well when I can. The lockdown face doesn't say so, but I try. I've baked so much since the lockdown started. So yeah, I think the rest of who I am will unfold in the conversation.
Wow. Wow. Can I ask that you just, because your face is cutting off a little bit, I think you also need to do what I had to do. So move back a little bit. Yes, much better.
Okay.
Much better. We don't want to hide that beautiful face.
Yes. Hey, but now
yeah, wow. Hey?
I feel like you're so okay. Yeah, okay. Fine. No. I asked you for this interview because constantly in motion. I am very open in spaces like this. So yeah.
Listen, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love you. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting when how you've defined yourself. You mentioned that you're quite profound. You don't often hear. Are you there?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
you're there. You don't often hear people describe themselves that way, and I realize now with me asking you that question, that's why, energy. You said big on energy, and I think, we're living in a time where, we always speak about aura, like you have to be with someone in their presence to feel their aura. But we're living in a time where, social media, I don't know how we define aura in social media terms, but I found it so easy to connect to you. It's because of the fact that you're such a soulful being. You really are, and it comes across, you're always so authentic, and, always ready to throw in a joke here and there. So it's a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of. So,
thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's nothing else but energy, good or bad. This chair I'm sitting on is nothing else but a bunch of molecules together and forming a structure that is solid. we are energy and there's nothing else, and energy never ceases to exist, it just changes form. So from here, we will transcend to be something else. So this is why I constantly want to learn. You know, by the time I move on to the next realm, I think I should take some lessons here and, you know, be able to move forward a better angel, Idozi, ancestor. Yeah, so yeah, I'm always very aware of energy.
Wow. And have you always been that way? Or was it something that, like, with age, you become more, like, I don't know, something that you've identified more in yourself? Or have you always, do you feel like you were always that way?
I feel like we're born with certain gifts and everyone has something to bring. And I had it, but it's gotten more and more amplified as the years have gone by. And you need to actively pursue it as well. I think you actively have to go when something happens that you couldn't have orchestrated yourself. You need to go in there and go, what was that? You know, what was that? What was that power? What was that energy? Why did I feel like I walked into a room and this one particular person felt so familiar to me? It's nothing else but energy. Or you walk into a room and somebody is just, well, email, you know, and it's nothing else but, you know, yeah. So I think it's evolved and it's just gotten more and more amplified as I've grown older. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And I think one of the things you mentioned earlier is the fact that you basically, you said you're a career student. And I think that's something that's so beautiful and powerful, because I feel like when you're constantly learning, it allows you to constantly evolve as a person. And I know that you used to be in corporate full time, and now
Yes.
you pursue the thing. Do you want to just like walk us through that? How did you start to do that? Was it part of your mentality around learning, being a constant student, a student of life?
Yes, and so I was in corporate for 11 years, so it was a mixture of corporate and agency life. I did a little bit of civil work, so I was in government. So when I started my career, I was in government at the Department of Communication. I moved to the Green Bank. I moved to an agency, a digital agency. We actually started the first office up here in Joburg, and then moved to the Blue Bank, and then I joined another agency. So I had an 11, 12-year career, and I just felt like it's time to move. You know, it was, again, impulses. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And you sit there and you have to sit there and go, what is this? I know I know who I am, I know how I function, but this is a slightly dysfunctional where I am. And I resigned during an EXCO meeting. So, you know, it was just a build-up. A build-up. And
in the middle of the meeting?
Yes, literally. So we were talking, and I just got up and I said, I need to go. I think they thought I was going to the bathroom. I went to my desk and I started typing my resignation letter, and I was like, I've never felt more relieved. They came back from the meeting, I handed it in, I had a conversation with my boss, and yeah, I just needed to go. And then I thought, oh my God, if you've just resigned and you haven't told your husband, you know, that's not how marriage works. So I made a call and I'm like, oh, babe, yeah, I've just resigned. But we'll talk about it later. I came home, I started cooking, like, you know, I'm just going to make the best meal ever. And then he's just going to just hear me out in between, you know, chewing and drinking his wine. And maybe he won't take it as hard because I've just decided we're going to be a single income household, you know? So as soon as he walked in, the first thing he said to me was, how do you feel? And I bawled my eyes. I bawled my eyes, and I was like, this person gets it. He could see the buildup. He just couldn't say, dude, you need to go. You know, this is not healthy for you. And he said, how do you feel? And I just fell right back in love with that man again. And I was like, you know what? He understands. And then we had to then talk about how we're going to weather the storms. But after that, after resigning, served my notice, And I had a plan. The plan was to pursue this passion now, because I've loved cooking for as long as I remember. We were those kids. My mom was amazing at introducing ingredients to us that other household wouldn't have. We would have blue cheese for Soweto. I grew up in Soweto for my formative years, and we have gammon. We had like a white Christmas with gammon. We had turkey. We had all of those things. So my palate was very developed much earlier than most, and I thought, yeah. So these are the things I wanted to do. I could commit to doing, and I thought, okay, I'll do 6 months. Let's see how that goes. I'll take a short course and see if I like it. And then my husband was like, if you're going to do this, don't you think you should just commit to the entire thing? And I was like, yeah. Little did he know I committed to a 3-year course, because there was a 18, and then there was the pastry. So I took on everything. I was like pastry, hot and cold, the culinary arts, hot, cold kitchen, everything. And I committed. And once you make a financial commitment, there's no going back on that. So once the money was in, I've never felt more fulfilled in my life. I have never felt in my life, quite honestly. Just that decision alone sort of changed everything, and just how I view life as a human being, that you must do what's good for you. It made me look back at things like just all the other decisions I've made in my life. I was meant to become accounting. In the first month, I knew I just knew this wasn't for me, and I thought, what, I need to do something creative. So I went into network and internet engineering and graphic design. So there was a little bit of a creative element to what I was doing, and I suppose I'm a little bit of a rebel. But society sort of forced certain rules on me to conform, and I did that well for a while, and then I went, no, I'm going to do me, and it served me so well.
Wow, sure. That's so refreshing. And we as you say, society, there's always like these boxes that we're trying to be, the world is expecting us to fit into these molds. So you're a wife, you must be a certain way. Maybe you started your career in a certain way, so somebody else would have been shocked that how dare you resign in the middle of a board meeting, and the fact that you've got such a supportive husband who was able to just, the first thing him asking, how do you feel? Because it's not I'm pretty sure he was aware that it wasn't an easy decision for you to make, and all he needs to understand is, my babe, how do you actually feel about this whole thing? And we need those people around us, and I'm so glad that you've got such a good support structure.
Support structure is everything. It comes in a form of friends. It comes in a form of family. Even new friendships. For me, it's not about the length of relationships. It's just about the energy. I have known you for a little bit over a year, but I feel closer to you than some of my friends that I've known for 20 years, purely because of how we interact. I feel very close to the guy that sells the newspapers up the road. I see Lucky every day. We have a chat when I drop off the kids. We are quite close. So for me, it's I don't put too much. I don't put too many labels on things. It's just how we feel and how we act and how we are able to impart whatever it is that we impart into the next person, because that's what we're here for. We are just here to serve, we are here to serve, and in different ways. And yeah.
Listen, I could sit with you and just go on and on the whole day. I was telling my friend actually, before the interview, I was like, I am so excited because she is like a sister you're like a sister to me. I was telling my friend that it's been so amazing. And for some people that would be weird, right? Like, you have never actually met this person in person, but you love her, so you say you love her, and just based on this interaction. So it speaks a lot to energy, and it's such a beautiful thing. Thank you for being that person. I think, like you say, we're here to serve. We're here to serve in our little spaces. We're part of coming up with the name the Royal Corner was just to say, in our corners, wherever we are, let's just make that change. Be impactful. And I think of you sometimes. I must tell you this. I think of you. I remember one conversation that we had, and you said to me, this was when we were chatting via the Thriving Parenting page, and you said to me, we're talking about dating, and I was telling you that I'm on the dating scene again, and you were like, girl, you better make sure you got some new lingerie. You must stay ready. That's always playing at the back of my mind. That's just the amount of impact you put on me. It's always at the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, our jeans would not be.
Meet opportunity, meet lingerie. It just needs to happen that way. You can't be caught off guard. Brothers is there, and you just like, oh my God. Unta t-shirt your F-bomb. Can we not?
I love that. I was actually so excited when lockdown started. I was like, hey, this is my opportunity to that. You know, lingerie can be quite expensive. So I was like, hey, man, the expenses anyway that we've cut like the expenses, so we can at least divert the funds to lingerie. So I'm quite excited about it.
Listen, what you put out, let me tell you a story about how I also got to attract my husband into my life. So I don't want to take the story too far back. So I was with somebody, he passed away. We were together for 5 years. He passed away, and I was devastated, absolutely devastated, broken. And I remember his mom saying, listen, you are young, you'll find somebody. And I'm like, oh, this will never happen. I've never loved this before, blah, blah, blah. And she said to me, give yourself 3 years. Give yourself 3 years, heal, and just be ready. So in my mind, as I went through my grieving process, my husband appeared at the end of year 2. And I was just like, ooh, God, this one, I don't know. I don't know. You know, it wasn't love at first sight or anything like that. But because in my mind, I had already kind of prepared myself, I used to sleep in the middle of my bed, spread myself like a starfish. I literally had to prepare space. So I started to choose a side of the bed and put another pillow on the other side and be ready to have somebody there, you know? So preparation needs to be done to go, if you want somebody in your space, you need to clean up certain things. I had to, you know, give up. Because of the grief, I suspect I was an alcoholic. I suspect, because I used to drink quite a bit. But I understood why I did it. You know, I understood exactly why I drank the way I did. I was drowning, pain, and all sorts of things resurfacing. I cut down that as well. So it's all of these little decisions that you make in your life that get to the end goal. Life is a series of choices, constantly, you know. And nothing is in the dark. Nothing happens in the dark, you know. People may not see it, but you know about it. So as you make these little decisions, don't think they're not going to impact where you are. So yeah, things like that. So I bought the lingerie as well. I bought myself lingerie. I prepared the bed. I prepared, you know, my spirit to let somebody else in. And I prayed about it. I prayed for my healing, you know, my own healing, to go, are you done? Are you done with that chapter? Acknowledge that it was painful. It was painful. It was one of the most defining moments of my life, because I was met with mortality in a very real way. Somebody that's here and somebody that's gone. And you know, you are forced to grow in moments like that, because our lives were so intertwined, and plans were made for the us. And then the us was gone, and it was just the me. And when me was alone, I had to lift up the mirror to my own face and go, what do you want? You know, what do you want? And I made a lot of changes during that time. I met my husband December 2017. I lied. 2008. 2008, we were engaged July 2009.
Wow!
And we got married the following year, March 2010. And
Wow.
I was able to tell him who he was dealing with as well, you know, and he let me. And this is the part I just absolutely love about him. He lets me just put it out there and say, this is what it is, you know, and he just said, okay, I see you. I hear that you're wounded. He deals with me with such care. And there is nothing like it. There is nothing like it, you know. And I see a lot of women out there. I saw Amanda Seals who say, I am tired of being hard. I am tired of being strong. I want to be soft. I want to be handled like a delicate flower. And I think, you know, so many women are out there being too strong, you know. And while you're putting out the energy of strength and, you know, I can do this myself, it puts men in a little bit of a corner where they go, actually, she doesn't need me, you know?
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yo, that is, you know, that last bit, that is like such a, I don't know, you break.
I'm sorry, that was the husband. He was trying to help me with the technology. It's fun, babe. I'm going to use the phone rather. Yeah.
Supporting, backing his queen through and through.
Yes. He's the IT guy as well.
He's the support. I love it. I love it. And I always say, you know, it's so amazing when a queen and a king are doing their thing together. It is actually the most beautiful thing to witness. So that's amazing.
This is the thing that Africans did so well. And this is the thing that the colonialist rule had to dismantle before anything. If you meet a queen and a king, they come together, they make a strong family. A strong family makes a strong community. A strong community makes a strong nation. So as soon as you take those two people apart and you make the man suffer, you take away his humility, you beat him in front of his children, you know, yeah, it is. It is. And I'm not an advocate for marriage, but I'm an advocate for strong partnerships. I'm obsessed with relationships. I'm obsessed with how we relate, you know, men, women to women, women to men, parents to children. That fascinates me. And I think if we can just get those relationships right, we can just turn our situation around as just the human race. We can turn it around. That's all it takes.
Sure. Yo, I want to ask, like, what you're saying, because and I'm looking at some of the comments that are going through. So some people that you know, like your sisters, family, everybody's just like applauding you, know you. People that don't know you, I think on this platform we speak, we are, I think, feeling that energy is so intentional and just, I want to ask, how are you doing? And I know there's so many spaces in which we touch people, but is something that like you're doing, whether it's, do you coach people, is there some sort of like outside of the space and outside of the people that you are normally used to interacting with, do you have something where people basically drink from the well, if that makes sense?
I've done a few talks, like people will call me sporadically, like here, there, friends, family members, somebody who's sat across me at a function or whatever. Nothing too formal. I did my last one on Valentine's Day for my niece. So she brought together her female group, her friends and her colleagues, and they wanted to talk about just men. I think in their minds they thought we're going to have a male bashing session, and everybody was ready to tell Auntie Jeanette about, let me tell you what he did to me, you know. I went with my sister as well. You think I'm energy and spirit, she's next level. So we went in there, we sat with the girls, and everybody was ready to tell us about the last boyfriend and what he did, and let me tell you. And again, I took it back to energy. And we just went around the room and said, you tell me about you. I don't want to know about you. Tell me about you. Oh no, I had this guy and the other guy, and the other one broke my heart, and there's 3 other guys. And I'm like, why do you have 3 other guys? No, I don't want them to break my heart. So it feels like, if there's, when you hedge your bets, and your investments, it feels like, you're saving yourself from hurt. If you're going to commit in that way, hearts must break. You must experience heartbreak for you to understand love, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Sure.
Because, and once you experience heartbreak, and you internalize it and just feel it for yourself, you now know what you don't want. I think we need to crystallize what we don't want more than what we think we want. Because what we think we want is influenced by social media, by society, by family. You must want to be married. You must want to have children. You must be, a fashionista and an influencer and have a 6-pack and travel the world every 2 weeks, but you need to, it's in pain that we grow. How likely we don't grow, guys? We don't, because it's so euphoric, it's so wonderful, but there's not a lot of growth. So with grace, we need to take both, and we need to always say, this too shall pass, the good and the bad, because all of it must pass. All of it is fleeting, So hearts must break. And if you want a man, you need to prepare for the partnership that you want. If it is the job that you want, you need to go past that building. Sometimes just walk in, Jay. Walk in and say, you know what? I'm gonna work here. I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but I'm gonna come and work in this big glass building. I'm not sure what you guys do, but if there's no distance between you and the dream, you must close that gap as much as you possibly can. And those things become doable. Yeah.
Like, hey, I mean, I am in awe. I am in so much awe. Like, it's amazing. When I started this platform initially, because we're speaking about a lot of like deep, soulful, and spiritual things, right? So there are a lot of things that like your gut will tell you. And when I started the platform, I was like, okay, I want to do this, but I'm a bit scared. And I love what you're saying, to say, see yourself in that building that you want to, like that company that you want to work for, see yourself there. Is it a man that you're attracting? Attract that man, that essential things that you have to make sure that you do. So I had to also get to a point where I'm like, you know what, let me just take a step. Let me stop, because the world tells us that we need to be perfect, right? Before we do anything. I must have A, B, and C. I must have a 3-4. I must have whatever before I do this. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna use what I have. And then the lockdown came, and Instagram Live became a thing, and I was like, why not? And you were one of the people on my list. So when I started, I made a list of all the people I wanted to speak to on this platform. I had to think about the people that I see as kings and queens that are actually living in their truth and owning, So you're one of those people that I'm constantly in awe. Every single week, I scratch off names of people that I had identified, and I was so delighted that you actually gave me the opportunity. You were on that original list. So it's about just being intentional and visualizing. This is the way I see myself, and you will get there. There was a question earlier. So somebody was asking if you read The Secret. So I thought maybe let's tap into a bit more on it.
I didn't read it. I watched The Secret, and it was more. A lot of the stuff that I saw on The Secret was just like, oh my God, I know this, but I just needed somebody to just reaffirm that this is the thing to do. I remember what I used to do is parking. Simple thing, parking. I'd be driving in the mall, and I always used to say, I'm going to find parking close to the entrance because I'm in a rush. And I'll set the intention as I get into the car. I will drive there and I will, sure as daylight, find parking right next to the entrance because I visualized it. I put it out into the universe. I didn't know it was that whole process back then. But I would do that kind of thing and I would get what I want. And I thought to myself, if I can do this with a parking space, what else can I put into the ether and see, what fruit it would be. I remember walking into the Green Bank for my interview. They've got this beautiful gallery when you come up from the reception. I walk through that gallery and I'm like, I got this job. I've got this job. I'm just going to do the formalities. I'm going to sit across them, but I got this. I sat there, we spoke, they didn't come back to me for 2 weeks. And, obviously anxiety set in and you're just like, oh my God, what's happening? And then I got a call and I could start, and I just, we don't pay attention to energy enough. We don't pay attention to our gut feeling enough. We don't pay attention to just little messages around us. And human beings are conduits of that message. God himself does not come down and scream and say, oh, leave them alone. This is the time to now go on a date. He's never going to do that. He's going to send your friend Vongile, who's going to say, to me, listen, we've got a drink session, just pop by. Nothing hectic. You pop by and here's Petros, and there you are. And, these things happen that way, So we need to pay attention to our impulses, especially. Our own impulses. We need to pay attention to the energies around us and pay attention to the energies that you also don't want around you. That's also important. If you need to distance yourself from even family members because it doesn't serve you, you must do that. Because there's only one take to this act. We're not coming back. We're not coming back. And while you're here, do your best to please you. You.
Sure. Yay. Yay. What a queen you are. Sorry, I'm gonna tell you, I got some feedback that there's a bit of an echo, so I'm gonna close the sliding door. I suspect maybe it's that. Hopefully, that's why you saw me looking like I'm a bit distracted earlier. Trying to fix it.
Okay. Let me also fix my door. I think my Wi-Fi is open. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Technology, ne? Hey, you just have to roll with it, ne? There we go. I'm being so ridiculous because I've got a selfie, whatever thing, stand stick, whatever those things are called, like the tripod thing. But I am not at home. I have it with me. Now I'm struggling. Hopefully, I hope the sound sounds better. But Jesus, man, you speak about those impulses. You're never gonna hear like this grand voice from heaven where God says, "Now is the time to do this." I always say, God will use people to communicate. Also, your intuition, your gut, a lot of things you will know. And you keep saying to me as we were chatting, preparing for this, and I was just saying, "Don't worry, like just relax. It's really a conversation." And there's one thing that you keep saying, like, I'm in safe hands. I can feel it. Like, oh.
I feel a lot of things. Yeah. Listen, there's stuff that you need to do with everything needs to be done with the right tools. You use your heart things with the heart space. Don't love someone with your mind. But behavior and all the other things that you can tweak, use your mind. Use your mind to write a budget. Don't use your heart and say, oh, God will provide. Let me just go buy this Louis Vuitton. God will provide. God will not provide. God does not own a bank. Okay? Use your mind, budget. But when you're going to love, it's a heart space thing. When you're going to raise children, it's a heart gut thing. you know? So we need to learn to put these things in order of priority for the things that we need to do. When you go career, you go gut, mind, heart, you know? Children, heart, gut, mind, you know? I think we over-parent as well. So I've also learned to let my children make their own decisions, young as they are. I think there's you know, we are driven by ego as parents to, you know, vicariously live through our children and correct the mistakes that our parents made with our children. You know, there's no way an imperfect person is going to raise a perfect human being in an imperfect world. You know, we need to make peace with certain things. We are going to make mistakes. Make peace. That what you have to do is just let these people be themselves. Let them just be. I'm looking out the window now. The girls are in the swimming pool, just taking water out and making mud cakes. Let them be. Do not buy white clothes because I understand that children need to get dirty, you know, and I can't be mad at them for being children, you know. You know, the ego is a problematic thing, very problematic, and we need to be aware that it's there, make peace with certain things, but also want to change certain things. I constantly am trying every year, every day to just tweak things that I can tweak. I set goals, yes, but I set themes annually for myself. The theme for this year was empathy. You know, how do I become more empathetic? How do I judge less? How do I, with empathy, elevate the next person? And I think that serves me a lot more than me setting goals and striking them off. They're there, but I put them down. But my life is driven by the energy and the theme that I set out for the year. And then there's a recon at the end, and I'm like, what a beautiful year based on these things that I was able to achieve for myself. And then great, I bought a toaster that I've always wanted. Yeah, things of the world.
Yeah. Sure. Man, no, so your sister, Jeanette was your sister, right?
Jeanette, yes.
Yeah, so she was making a comment earlier just indicating that your brother is also logged in with your dad. And I posted on my WhatsApp earlier just because normally like on Saturdays I'll put it on my WhatsApp as well to say, oh, join us on Instagram Live. And there's this lady that I know, Itumeleng Mafatsi, and she was telling me that she grew up with you guys around, like you were like an older sister. And you guys are such amazing people. And I said to her, you know what? I have never met Jean, and I can tell you she's an amazing person. And even now, I think she followed the page yesterday, but already she was just like, listen, I am so happy like to have you as a sister. So I think it's testament to me the way that you guys were raised. And now I'm also curious to know, because we're speaking about parenting in this part, and you're talking about how you need to allow children to be. So what is it about your upbringing that made you this person today, and that you are then taking to your own journey of parenting, and that basically leads to that allowing children to be because they're their own people?
Oh, when you go family, I get so emotional. I get so emotional. We grew up in Soweto, like I said, in Rockville. It's mom, it's dad. I'm the eldest, my sister, and then we have a brother. We are all 3 years apart, planned by my father. So we are, yeah, planned by my father. So
meticulously so.
Yes, we grew up in a household that was rare to find in the township because a lot of fathers were not present. People grew up with extended family members. There'd be 7 people in a 4-roomed house. For as long as I remember, it was the 5 of us, and we'd always have like family members over. Our house was open. Our house was open to everyone. My parents are just so good integrity-filled people. Their integrity is everything to them. They didn't have a lot materially, but by no means do I come from poverty, no. Because I'd be making a mockery of other people's circumstances. It wasn't poverty at all. I grew up with a father who understood that for children to grow in the way that they wanted, my mother had to be home to tend to the children. And he was able to provide for her, So she was a housewife for 14 years. But what a vivacious person. She was never sitting at home doing nothing. I think this is what I got from her. Like, you just never sit. She took baking classes, cooking classes, knitting, sewing. She was always active in the community. But when we came back from school, there was always a ready meal. If you were bullied at school, you come back and there's a parent there. And that is priceless. That is something that I would like to provide for my children as far as I possibly can. And, they must come home and there's just warmth. I don't want them to come here and, there's a mom on a laptop and a dad on a laptop and we try, that's not what we want to do. I grew up with, my father was very strict, very, very strict. And my mother was the opposite of that. She was a soft place to land. And with parents back in the day, beatings were a thing, I got beat. I got beat a lot because even back then, I knew the things that I wanted to do. My impulses were more important than the rules of the house, unfortunately. And I remember I would get beat and my sister would just like, why do you do the things that you do? Like, just do the right thing. Because she's good like that. But I knew that I had to rebel against this to get closer to me, And I knew I could take the beatings. But with that, the beatings also didn't equal me hating my father, looking at him as somebody that abused us. No, I look at him as somebody who did what he did with the limited resources and knowledge that he had. And I learned to forgive and move on and have a conversation with him. So the first lesson that I took on from that was, I will not beat my children. The reason why I will not do that is because I'd rather that they question my sanity, my fashion sense, my anything else other than my love. When you are getting beaten, in that moment, you don't feel loved. It doesn't matter what you did. You don't feel loved in the moment. Even when they say, you know why I did this and I love you. I never wanted my kids to feel that feeling. And I also felt that the punishment actually didn't fit the crime, because it looks like a crime in your eyes. In my eyes, I had to be out there because there was something interesting that I was learning. I was never up to something not good, but I had to be out there. And when I'm curious about something and I'm learning, I'm there, I'm committed in that way. I come from a mixed family. My mother came from Lesotho. My dad has Chinese ancestry. So there's that as well. So I grew up as somebody that, like Trevor Noah, just finished his book, could never really fit in anywhere. Especially when we went to Model C schools. I couldn't hang out with the coloureds. I didn't speak Afrikaans. And I was black. I grew up black. People would always question. I remember we used to relax our hair. My hair is straight. But because everyone else around us was relaxing hair, I relaxed my hair until I went to a hairdresser. I said, you don't need to relax this hair. It just grows, And yeah. So not a day goes by when I'm out there, somebody going, oh, what's Soto? And I intentionally speak Venek everywhere I go. You know, this is who I am. I've had Batuban Seba, you know, and then Arab, and it's like, oh my God. I even had I had a case at the Green Bank where I was sitting with the colored friends, colleagues. So it's after hours, we've had drinks, and we're making colored jokes. You know, we're laughing, it's fun. I think I answered the phone and I started speaking in vernacular. This guy took offense, like, you are being racist. And he went and lodged a formal complaint about how racist I was. And I just sat there and I was like, oh, okay. I had to go through the entire process. Yeah. But yeah, that's my background. And my mom, sure, what a vivacious lady. She is so multi-talented. She released a house CD, and it was actually played on YFM.
What?
So she's a never say die kind of person. Never say die. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was 5-6 years ago. So she's very musical. She's a creative. She worked for the SABC as soon as she could go back onto the workforce. She was a journalist and a producer for one of the national radio stations. So I was raised by good people. More than anything, good people, active people. We are not lazy. We are always doing something. We are always doing something.
Wow.
So, and we're very close. You know, we are so close. And we have my grandmother. We grew up with my grandmother. My great-grandmother was so beautiful. My great-grandfather. So I got to see, 3 generations of my family on my mother's side. So, yeah, I don't know much about my Chinese background, but for me, it doesn't make too much of a difference because the people that raised me created a whole person out of me. So I'm not out there seeking too much because I feel like I'm whole and their love was enough. The opportunities that they afforded us were great. As soon as we could move to the suburbs, when apartheid was lifted and stuff, my dad moved us. As soon as we didn't have a car for the longest time, but he was very intentional with what he was going to do with his family. Our bond was paid within 6 years. So my dad has never had debt. Yeah. So a 30-year bond was paid within 6 years. But it meant fashion for us. No, you know, we didn't get to wear fashion labels and all sorts of things. But we were exposed to a lot of things. He'd take us to the Christmas parties, and we were exposed to white people earlier on, and sort of grew up seeing them as our equal. So I've never had really that buzz vibe about myself and white people. So by the time we moved to a Model C school, I've always viewed them as an equal. So I don't see, and it was all because of exposure. We'd go to restaurants and be the only black family there. So they did small things that contributed to who we are. And just by them being good people, there's no way I can go become a thug tomorrow because it was so ingrained in me to just do good. Just do good. Don't be rich. Don't do well. Just be good. Just be kind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, such power. I'm just checking quickly. Okay, so Instagram Live says, I still want to chat about more. We're definitely chatting about more, but there's like 4 minutes left. So I'm just warning you what it does is that when it reaches an hour, it cuts off. So what I'll do, and I know a lot of the people here are joining for the first time, I'm going to save it. We'll go off at that point in time when it cuts us. I'll save it on my IGTV, and then I'll go live again, and then you'll just join me again because there's so more that I want to chat about.
Yes.
Happy? Okay. Cool. So that's you know, they always say you see any like psychologist. I mean, I've been to see a psychologist, and that's like it's not even it's something that I feel is so important, and not for dependency or anything, but but just to there are things that you need to heal from that you're not even aware that you need to heal from. And one of the key questions that they ask when you first go and visit, they ask you about like your childhood. I want to know because your childhood shapes so much of who you become as an adult. And it's it's refreshing to hear you speak about a family like that where I think the generation that we come from, there were a lot of, like you said, fathers who are not present. So being able to speak of your father in that way, to say, this is who my dad was in our upbringing, and this was the role that our mother played, and we are solid people, kind people, good people because of what we got exposed to through your parents. So thank you for sharing that with us. Even having blue cheese in the middle of Soweto, like, girl, you had it good. You had it good. You had it good.
My sister just said I had my dad in tears there. She just made a comment. She said I had my dad in tears.
Oh man, that is so special. And it's one of those things I think to even hear you speaking about him in that way, it's tantamount to you giving the roses while they can still smell them, basically. And this is an important thing.
It's so important. I tell people, family, my friends, that I love them. And I will express it that way. I think I've said that to you. And genuinely, that is love. I don't throw around terms just for the sake of throwing it around. When I love someone, I love them. And I think we are so shy about emotions, and I don't know what it is about us and just not being able to say. Or maybe it's because we haven't heard it.
Yes.
So it's hard to say, So, yeah. So because I didn't hear it too much, I want to say it. I'll be the one that's saying it. My husband says it to me. My children say it, and I say it. I love you when I say I love you, and believe that trust. So yeah, I move around the world expecting miracles every day. That's just how I move around the world, and want to exist like that. That's just how I want to do things. And I've got friendships that span over 20 years, and I may not see them or speak to them, but when we meet, we just pick up where we left off, because once you're in my heart space, it's so hard for me to get rid of you. Like, that's just how I am.
There's a picture I saw of yours. I think you guys were at your 20-year school reunion. And I was like, he's looking so fabulous, like so many years later. What? So,
yeah. And if you mix your black with your Asian, I'm actually 96.
Hey?
I'm actually 96 years old. How fabulous do I look?
You're how old?
96.
What do you mean you're 96?
If you mix black and Asian, also feel like I'm high. And then you still look good on the outside.
Exactly. And you're only as old as you feel, right? On the inside. If you feel like you are.
How old I am. I know my biological age says I'll be 40, and I cannot wait. My biological age is 40, but I never really know how old I am. I don't know what 40 feels like. I don't even know how 39 feels like, because I'm just as playful as ever, and I want to maintain that. We take ourselves way too seriously. This is why I posted that video yesterday, because it's just like, I'm such a weirdo. They need to see my bum flex.
Guys, if you don't already follow Jeans, please do yourself a favor. You will stay laughing. This woman the other day posted a video, if you remember the Tipa Kikopa, please, if you don't already follow her, do this. It's really funny.
And it's kind of watching. Look at me, I've got my two for the camera. Camera.
I love it. And this, it speaks to you being your authentic self. And I feel like when you're authentic self, you don't have to try. You don't have to. Instagram is cutting us.
Everyone else
is cutting us.
Okay, are we going?
Instagram is, yeah, we are going, and then I'm gonna go live again, and then you can join again.
Guys, don't leave. We're coming back.
They must rejoin, please.